Hello. What's up, guys? Can everyone hear me? And can everyone see the Bitcoin charts? Everything should work, but it's been a while since I've streamed last time, so yeah, let's first check if the audio is okay, if the music is not too loud, and if you all can see my charts, obviously. Otherwise, we're not gonna do much. Greetings from Switzerland. Marco, Alvin, Little Picky, Nicolam, Loik, Armo. Everything's fine? Alright. Good evening, love from India. Hello, Facts Daily. Daniel, Lakshan, Igor. Voice is good, all fine. Awesome. When 100k? Damn. Soon. After FOMC, maybe, let's see. Maybe after FOMC, we'll be trading at 100k. When 12k? Maybe after FOMC. Hello from Ukraine. Hey, man. Sri Lanka. China. Nice. Like your analysis. Thanks, man. Poland. Okay, so just gonna give it like a couple more minutes so some people can join. Well, some more people can join. And then we'll get started, right? We're gonna try to cover as much as possible. Talk about as much as possible. And then we'll do some questions in the chat if anyone has any. And then we might do some requests as well. Very sexy voice. Are you a singer? Nah. Back again to the magic lines. Yeah. Hello from Indonesia. Hi from Romania. Love your work. Thanks, man. Still in Aptos? Yes, sir. It's not a big position though. It's a small scalp. Don't want to over risk into FOMC. But I'm excited. It's always nice to have some exposure at least. To feel something, you know. Hello from the middle of the North Pole. Hey, man. How do you approach FOMC? Let's keep the questions for in a second, guys. The YDX trades were on fire. Yeah, it was nice. Right, 80 people. That's nice. So I think we'll just get started. So the video will be, the live stream will be available on YouTube to watch after, so no worries if you miss a part or you gotta go. For example, you'll be able to rewatch later. All right. So before we get into the charts, let's say thank you to the sponsor of the live streams, which is Bybit. An exchange, obviously. Probably most of you heard from Bybit. They've been in the game for quite a while. You can trade a lot of altcoins and Bitcoin, obviously, on there. And I've been trading on Bybit for ages, and honestly, I just love them. Everything's very smooth. They're transparent. So yeah, I'll leave a link in the description. With that link, you can get up to $30,000 in bonuses if you make a deposit, depending how much you deposit, obviously. And you can get free access to Coin Market Manager. I'm sure you've seen that one around as well. That's a tool you can use to analyze all of your trades to get an equity curve, stuff like that. And yeah, give you all kind of details about your trades. So get free access to all of those paid features as well. All you have to do is make an account using the link in the description, then make a deposit, connect the account to CMM using API, and you're good to go. All right. And not only that, but if you use my link, feel free to send me a message on Discord, and then I'll add you to the server as well. So if you're trading on my link, if you made a deposit, simply DM me on Twitter or on Discord, and I'll add you to the members of my Discord group, where I post more updates about my trades and just some general thoughts on the market. So yeah, definitely worth checking out Bybit. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, let's jump into some charts, right? So let's start off on the weekly. Actually, let's start off on a clean chart, right? And give you my full thought process. It's been a while since I've done those, so I guess we'll just start flat like this. So the main range that we've been trading in for ages and that I've been watching and focusing on for quite a while is obviously gonna be this one, okay? So why this one? We've had all of this downside from here. Well, the first leg was this one, right? Then we saw some weeks where we bounced or were ranging, whatever you want to call it, and then almost in one leg all the way down to 17k, okay? And then from 17k again, we started bouncing. What was the first high we made after this low? That was this high. So this is range low and this is range high. What confirms the range? If you zoom in a little and take a look at the mid-range, you can see that it has been pivotal over here. Support, okay, price action around that, quick deviation, retest to the T, and then here, beautiful resistance and a smash back above. And now we'll have to see what happens next, obviously. So if you have watched my stuff, you know that I focus on ranges purely based on liquidity. So I'll never take candle closes, for example, as a range high or a range low, but always use the wicks, okay? Why is that? Because then you have a clean draw on liquidity and a draw on stop losses, okay? Stop losses are very often gathered, I was looking for the word, gathered above key highs and below key lows. And that's pretty obvious because whenever price does this and it starts dumping, people who short here put their stop above the high. And what price then often does is it takes all of those stop losses, bigger players fill their shorts there, and then price nukes into the initial direction, okay? So with that being said, that's the range, the weekly range we are trading in, okay? Generally, we say above range mean or above our mid-range, start targeting range high. Below our range mean, start targeting range low, and that is if range low and range high are unswept. Okay, with swept I mean take those stop losses below or take those stop losses above. Price was ranging for quite a while, and then we dumped below, and then the question was, is this a sweep below range low which reclaims above range low, and then the target would be range high, the other side of the range, okay, as a draw on liquidity, or was this a breakdown and were we going for 10k? Okay, once we started closing, well, down here I said for our bullish scenario, I want to see strong closes, especially on the daily and ideally on the weekly, above this range low level. Okay, so as soon as we closed back inside this range, I flipped bullish. Well, I was cautiously bullish down here. I was buying the dip, but I did try to short this supply here and range low, the retest from beneath. But as soon as this candle closed up here above this supply, I flipped bullish and started targeting much higher. Okay, so the next logical target for Bitcoin, in my opinion, is range high. Okay, so I've been bullish from all the way down here, and I'm still targeting range high here at 25.2k. Okay, simply based on that weekly range and just purely based on liquidity. Range low swept, range high unswept, so the draw on high time frame liquidity is still to the upside, in my opinion. Okay, now that we have our bias on the higher time frames, we can use that bias to look for entries or look for potential trade setups on the lower time frames. Okay, so zooming in, well, on the weekly, I'm first of all gonna start off with marking out last week's low and last week's high. Okay, last week's low and last week's high. And what do we use those for? It's, to be honest, exactly the same as as the general ranges we use. Last week's high and last week's low. Sorry. Okay. So what was I saying? Yeah, those levels we use the same way as our general ranges. We use purely based on liquidity. So whenever last week's high, for example, has been swept, the next logical draw on liquidity is going to be to the other side, which is last week's high. If last week's high has been swept, the next logical draw on liquidity is going to be towards last week's low. Okay, so using that, obviously not on its own. Don't blindly short any sweep of one of the two and target the other side, but we combine those liquidity principles with other stuff like supply and demand, and then we base our trades based off of that. Okay, so now that we have those levels, you can immediately see where key liquidity is going to be resting. And let's zoom in a little to the 4 hour. So where's key liquidity gonna be resting? Below last week's low and above last week's high. So especially with FOMC coming up, you often tend to get like those really sharp moves and then instantly snap back into the area we were trading before the news came out. We can use that for some nice entries on longs or shorts. Okay, now while I said I was cautiously bullish on the higher time frames and still think the draw on high time frame liquidity is to the upside, what we can use then is, say for example, we go for last week's low, okay, into that weekly range mean, and we know that the draw on high time frame liquidity is to the upside and the draw on lower time frame liquidity, which is last week's high, if last week's low has been swept, is also to the upside. Well, then we can have a nice trade entry for longs, for example. Now, what would be the invalidation for this ID? Either you just anticipate that the sweep of this low is gonna hold, right? And you just market enter on a sweep here. Invalidation, I'd keep it a little wide then below here. The area where we started pumping from above our weekly range mean. So invalidation there, target, last week's high, and our weekly range high. Or you take a more conservative approach and you wait for the sweep of range low, the reclaim, and then once price starts reclaiming, you have a closer invalidation, and then start targeting last week's high and weekly range high from there. Okay, so those are the main plans that I'm watching for Bitcoin here. High probability trades, purely based on liquidity, combining that with key levels and supply and demand, because the demand here would be, right, the area where we moved sideways and where we pumped from, telling us people were accumulating longs within this area, right? And whenever price returns to that area, people gonna want to defend their positions, which very often results in buying pressure, and yeah, can send price higher. Okay, now let's see where OTE is resting. So you could keep your invalidation a little bit wider here if you just decide to enter on the sweep, which would be below there, below this demand. But let's see where OTE comes in. So from the last swing low to the last swing high, right? You want to look for, okay, OTE. You're gonna want to look for long entries on the retrace into OTE. So the 705 level. OTE stands for optimal trade entry. And it's just a FIP retracement, right? From the low to the high, look for longs on the retrace into OTE. And as you can see, all those levels line up beautifully. OTE, demand, the area we started pumping from, and that weekly range mean. So if FOMC, big if, of course, if FOMC dumps us and takes out last week's low, right, and you see strength coming in, look for longs targeting last week's high after and weekly range high. Okay, or you just market enter, keep your invalidation pretty wide. Like if you enter right here, keep your invalidation, I'd say below there, as I said at the start. Below here would be safe. And if you're targeting last week's high, that's already a 1.9R. And if you're targeting the weekly range high, 3Rs, that's a beautiful trade and high probability, in my opinion, since we're uptrending on on the daily. So always higher probability to look for longs. All right, so that's the main play I'm watching. As for shorts, I'm not sure. I'm not feeling confident enough to be looking for shorts personally, unless we would pump straight up from here, sweep last week's high and snap back inside. Well, then I could see us flip back, dump back towards the opposite side of this local range, which is last week's high. So then I could be looking for a short there, but I'll be much more patient with looking for shorts, right? Ideal scenario, I look for longs. Okay. Also, I'm not sure we're gonna get last week's low. What you often see on Bitcoin, right, is especially when price is moving vertical, like it did right here, and that's typical Bitcoin. It does this, then finally it starts ranging a little, leaving some lows, and then everyone's waiting for those lows to get swept, to get long, for price to continue higher. And what price does then is just making some more lows, not sweeping them, maybe a little sweep, but not all of them, and then just boom, leaving everyone behind. And that's what we did here, basically. Back down here, everyone was waiting for a sweep of these lows as well. And once we did this and started grinding up again, yeah, that was your sign that you weren't gonna get these lows, and we would just smash above, to smash to new highs. So possibly we get that as well, but yeah, we'll have to see. So is that clear for everyone? That was a lot of brabbling, a lot of talk in a short time, but I hope this makes sense. Let me know in the chat. What's the difference between last week's high and low, and also Monday high and low? Well, last week's high is just the highest point Bitcoin traded at in the previous week, and last week's low is the lowest point where the Bitcoin price traded in the last week. And you can use those, but I've already explained that as clean draws on liquidity. Not sure why you are that bullish. You have checked the RSI on the daily basis. It is extremely oversold. A pullback would be good. Do not be that biased. I personally don't use the RSI. Everyone his own thing, obviously, but I personally focus mainly on price action. But I do agree, some downsides, an aggressive flush of some lows would be healthy. That's why I would be looking for sweeps below here. The more aggressive, the better. Let alts dump, flush down, sweep some lows, trap some people, stop some people out, and then we have fresh fuel to go for new highs, in my opinion. Well explained, thanks. Interesting that you only talked about market entry. Would you not set limit orders? Nah, I don't like limiting in. I'm almost always just marketing. I know it's bigger fees and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm just not the kind of guy that wants to chase limits. Also, I just market in most of the time. Alles duidelijk. Do you use Monday range and last week's range differently? Well, yeah, I use Monday range as well. Let's see where this week's Monday range is. So today's Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. Well, yeah. As you can see, Monday range is nice as well. Both unswept as well here. So yeah, also no clean draw on liquidity, and yesterday's range, yesterday high and yesterday low, unswept as well. So what does that tell you, right? It just gives you the view of where price is trading and where price is likely to trade next. But what it also tells you is that volatility is coming and it could get ugly, right? If you're in a position, just be aware that price might do some ugly things, up and instantly back down, or down and instantly back up. Especially when you get those liquidity points from previous daily candles where price hasn't swept any of those. Yeah, be cautious, okay? But it can give you very nice trade setups whenever price does actually sweep either side, okay? That's why I also had yesterday's range marked out at the start in a different color. So that's yesterday range. Like if price does this, sweeps this during FOMC and reclaims, I could see it go from here towards the high, because you know, if it sweeps this, drawn liquidity from yesterday's candle is towards the high. The more daily wicks to the downside it sweeps, the higher the draw on liquidity is going to be, and the bigger the reaction more than likely is going to be. So if price does this, price could do this and then start chopping again. But when price does this, draw is on this, so then it's more likely that price doesn't sweep this and break back inside, but then it's more likely to continue towards last week's high. That's all of this is how I see things, right? Everyone its own thing, but that's how I see it. Hey Peter, if it breaks that cluster 24-21, go down. Why mark it in when we have terminal? Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried terminals, to be honest. Bitcoin fell back to last week's Monday range. Is this range still considered valid? Or do you have to make a new Monday range from this week? Well, the difference between... so your question is, when you have built up a Monday range here and there's a Monday range from last week here, whenever price returns, whenever price dumps back within that range, those levels are gonna be acting as pivots more than likely, but I don't use those levels as draw on liquidity. Why? Because pretty obvious, if, for example, this was your Monday range, well, there's no draw on this because price has already traded above, right? If Monday low at that point is unswept, you can target that as a target for shorts, but that's the main difference. Then I would just use those levels as pivots. So as, for example, if there's a couple highs here, right, look for sweeps into the level, rejection, and trade it towards the other side. I think 28k is a good level. Then my bias would flip much more bearish again, targeting maybe low 20s. Yeah, I'd say let's remove this. Trading view is slow again. I would say yeah, targeting this range high, but if we're about to smash to new highs, we probably go a little higher, right? Then we most likely we see this area, right? Maybe keep this low as your line in the sand or whatever you want to call it, but then I'd be scaling out of shorts, definitely. And then I'd probably look for hedges at least for the spots that I'm holding. 97 people watching, but only 34 thumbs up. Yeah, like the video if you haven't already. That would be much appreciated. And also subscribe. It's free, so you get notified when I go live or post a video. Will you upload this on YouTube? Yes, I will. You're looking at FXS? Yeah, we'll look at some alts after. Thanks, George. Thanks for the help. How do you know strength is building or dropping? What do you look for? Volume? Nah, to be honest, I don't. Most of the times, I plan my trades and I say I want to see this, and whenever it happens, I just buy. You know. But what I'm saying with wait for strength to come in here and wait for the reclaim is just whenever price does this. If it gets instantly bought back and you close back inside, look for longs on the retest. And if not, and you close here, just wait for strength, wait for a few strong candles, especially on the, well, not on the lower time frame, but on the hourly, on the 4 hour, look for some strong candles to close, maybe an engulfing, and then, but yeah, it's more just about the general idea, you know. I learned something new today. Hey, nice. That's what we're here for. Do you think we get to 25k without any meaningful pullback? I mean, does that matter? I do think we see 25k, yeah. But what is a meaningful pullback? Right? If this is a meaningful pullback, I could see this. But if you're looking for like 17.5 or something, this weekly range low level again, I don't think we revisit this for quite a while. Not in the coming weeks, especially. Like, I saw some people post a scenario where this just barred down, and I think that's very unlikely. I think after the PA we saw and these closes here, it's very unlikely that we see this. But again, ask yourself, does it matter, right? Everyone's fighting on Twitter, or I don't know whether we're going for 12k or 30k next, but does it really matter? Just trade, you know? If there's a trade, trade it, and if it's, and just ask yourself, if it goes for 12k, are you gonna be fine? And if it goes for 30k, are you gonna be fine? Or are you gonna profit if it goes to 30k? And are you gonna profit, or at least be protected if it goes for 12k? And once the answer is yes on both questions, well, just trade in the middle. Do you use FRVP? Nope. I think I'm a bit more aggressive with my spot buys. Will start selling. Blah, blah, blah. How old are you? I'm 23. Good morning, Anrelins. Dude, you're amazing after the swept of low high. Are you waiting for confirmation of the low time frame, or just market the position? Well, that's what I said. If you don't just blindly long a sweep, you know, you want to look for a sweep into something. Look for a sweep into demand, in a key level, into previous SR, into a range mean, and if those all line up, yeah, just enter. What do you think of the theory that apparently Binance pumped up the markets? I don't care about any of that bullshit. I don't care who pumps the market. If the market pumps, it pumps, you know. And yeah, whatever reason it is, it's going up, and just enjoy it. All right. We're gonna do some altcoins now. If TradingView allows me to. Okay. Starting off with APT, right? I'm in a small long on this one. Why? Basic idea, right? It's been in an uptrend. It pumped quite hard. I've profited pretty nicely from Aptos. Longed this move to here and longed this move to here. So happy days. Now I'm in a small long again. Okay. Why? First, we have this small reaccumulation before another leg up that I marked in green. We have a key low here that I marked, and we have some lows resting here, and some hours ago we swept the low into that area. So what I was looking for is just for a move towards some highs, okay, because we left quite some liquidity, in my opinion, to the upside, as well as this move, which is inefficient in my opinion. Just straight down and never fill that in, right? If you have moves like this, especially if they slam down, for example, like here, what you have often get is at least a retest of that area. Like, for example, what we have here, right? So it's sharp move down, build up highs, dump, and then go for those highs, and then continue back down. So all I'm looking for here is just at least for these highs, right? So invalidation is there, and targeting just these highs, then these highs, and maybe some inefficiency here. But it's just a day trade, and I'm not risking full hour, not full risk, just a little. I'll most likely keep it open during FOMC, but we'll see how price develops before that, I guess. But yeah, that's the idea on this. Is this stopping? It could be. Goddamn. Gotta stop doing this object tree thing. Okay. So yeah, this daily is definitely to look, something to look at, right? So that made a high, came back for a high, didn't manage to make a new high, instead swept it and slammed back down. But as you can see, we haven't taken yesterday's high, we have taken yesterday's low into low time frame demand. So simply looking for a rotation back up towards supply, and then we could be looking for shorts there, and then potentially trade it back into this area and look for potential day trade longs there again. Okay, so for now, just low time frame, looking for a bounce to take out some highs, and then from there maybe look for shorts back towards here, and then maybe look for longs again. Okay, so high time frame for your areas, and then low time frame, key highs, key lows for entries. Do you trade patterns? Nope. I'm looking for liquidity grabs. Okay, so another altcoin I really like, and I kind of hope we get a swift move down on Bitcoin to get fills on this altcoin, which is FXS, right? I've posted this on Twitter a couple days ago, and I just really like this setup. Why? Because this, right, from here just instantly banged down, right? But nice price action here, but this is obviously an inefficient move with not much resistance, right? Then it started ranging. For weeks it started ranging, bam, 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 bam. And then now we broke out, right? Retest, another move up. And now forming a range again. So weekly, obviously, strong closes above. So looking for more upside, okay? Using that with the lower time frame, range on the daily. Why this one? Upside, right? Boom, boom, boom. From this high, we went to this low. From this low, we went back to the high to sweep the high. So where's the local liquidity going to be resting? Oops. Towards range lows, right? But since high time frame is looking that bullish, I'm looking for sweeps of this, reclaim, and then all the way back up. And yeah, then I could honestly see this rip up aggressively. So I'm looking for fills there. Your invalidation would be back inside the range. So whenever price ranges for that long, right, and it breaks out, you don't want to see this dump back within the range, because that would be a bearish sign, right? If it does this, yeah, then you want to get out, because then it's likely we at least trade back towards range mean and possibly even range low. But until then, obviously, as long as it's above range high, I think this is good for much higher. So that's the plan on this one. Clean plan on clean invalidation. And yeah, target wise, I mean, you just use those levels on the left here to trim some off, right? Here, there, there. And then there. I'd probably be fully out there if it manages to get there, obviously. Makes sense? Whew. See how old this chart was, this drawing, and still those levels played out beautifully, right? See, from range low, swept range low, where's the draw? High time frame draw to range high, and guess what? Price reclaimed this, got rejected at range mean initially, but then returned to range low into demand some sweeps into that area. Long, targeting range high. Range high, boom, rejected, back to range low, deviated below again, reclaim, retest, and boom, smashed out. Yeah, this looks freaking good, in my opinion. Oof. But yeah, it's up quite a bit already. But same as on FXS, you know, it broke out of a high time frame accumulation phase, an accumulation range. So yeah, I could see this rally quite high, to be honest. First area I'd probably be looking at would be something around here, right? Initial high, then smashed through. Once it came back, support. Pivotal here as well. But yeah, I'll probably take some off along the way at key levels. Let's see how the lower time frames look. Well, it's already up on the day. Quite a bit. Yeah, you know, these kind of charts are just good for whenever Bitcoin is doing nothing and this is looking bullish as it does right now. You just want to long, keep a tight stop and look for a breakout, right? But what I'd be looking for here, we have this local range, look for a little flush in there, a little downside, and then trade it back towards there, something like this. And it could as well obviously break down. Wait, keep your invalidation there, enter there. Okay, something like this. But I could honestly just see this go from here without sweeping anything, doing something like this and there. If it's, so yeah, the area that's key here would be this one, right? Sideways price action and the retest of range high. You ideally want to see that hold. If we get back below this, then we likely go for all of these into range mean. But until then, ideally look for buys if it does this, spike down there. As I said, if Bitcoin does this, altcoins will likely get a pretty nice dip as well. So look for, I think those dips are for buying, you know. So then look for buys there. Keep your invalidation in the range, inside the range, and look for new highs there and then there. Makes sense? OP. Also did some nice trades on this one, but this one has been ranging for ages now. For a whole week, honestly. So some key levels on this one. This high. Why that one? That's the key high where we rejected from and saw a decent retrace. And is the high that got swept here to send us lower and retested here to send us lower. Okay, so that's key range high. And then range low, it depends. You could either take this as range low, unswept, or these lows. But I'd use this as just a key level, right? As you can see, swept these lows locally in there and then grinding up. But ideally, what I'd want to see on OP is a sweep lower in here. So something like this, once again, lines up with the Bitcoin downside, the Bitcoin sweep, and then trade it back towards the highs and then potentially even new highs, right? Some of the newer coins, so I really like these OP, Aptos, which is why I've been trading them, and they're just generally very strong in these markets recently. So yeah, this setup also really nice. Let's do this one. So we did a nice trade on this one yesterday. We longed, where was it? After we started pumping here, right? So it was something like this. I can look for the setup actually. This was the setup. Why, you know, you could ask yourself, it pumped already, why look to enter, but it's people often scan the markets and they watch a coin and say like it pumped already some percentages, and they're like, I'm gonna long another one and play a catch-up play, you know. This one hasn't pumped yet, so I'm gonna long this one. But often cases it's just smarter to long the strong ones, right? Because the strong ones often really pump and extend their targets, and that's what happened with this one as well. So, and combine that with a little TA and you have yourself a beautiful setup. So this breaker here, right, swept the lows here, another time here, and then good reaction, new high, came back in there, had like a triple sweep of some lows, and then it started pumping, and that's where I said, yeah, I think this is going to break out. The higher time frames looked perfect as well. So yeah, it was something like this, targeting that, and as you can see, played out beautifully. Yeah, high time frame here as well, right? You had this clean high here and this key resistance right there, which added more confluence to the setup. The high time frame liquidity was drawn on this one. I'd feel more, well, I'd feel less confident in looking for longs now because of the liquidity being taken to the upside into a high time frame key level. As you can see, clean high time frame supply or resistance or whatever you want to call it, right there. Yeah, something like that. And price took out this high, well, these equal highs actually, into that level. So looking for low time frame longs isn't the high probability play anymore because of the high time frame liquidity. Every time you'll explain things, it makes sense, but as soon as I'm alone, I'm confused. Yeah, I mean, it takes some time, you know. But keep grinding, keep watching the markets, and you'll get better eventually. LDO. Also one that's spoken about a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't like this to start off, that we swept that, but we've taken out some lows as well. But yeah, I'm immediately seeing these two weekly lows here, and with high time frame having swept the highs, next logical draw could be on those. So yeah, I'd be careful with this one. And maybe wait for, sorry, a retrace back in here. That's been a high time frame key level. As you can see, support, resistance, just, yeah, like there in general. Somewhere around there, right? And look for those weekly lows to get swept. Boom. It's all the same, to be honest. All coins look like they could use a flush lower. So why not, you know? And I'm looking to buy those. And just look for those that have been the strongest in the past couple days / weeks. And look to buy the dip on those. Let's check out the S&P. Our plans on the S&P have played out beautifully these past couple weeks. We've almost perfectly predicted this dip and a pump above, and then this week, early in the week, I said looking for a small dip but then continuation to the upside, and so far it's been pretty spot on. But yeah, we'll have to see obviously now if it manages to break to new highs or if it's gonna do this. But I think this look is good for higher towards these highs, here and here. Mina. See, immediately see this high time frame range from this low to this high. And immediately see pivotal price action around our range mean, confirming the range. Range high is unswept, which is a good sign if you're looking for longs at least. And then zoom in a little. Look at this tick. Boom, straight into mid-range, right? And then low time frame we have here as a range high and around here as a range low. So ideally, also here, look for this and then a reclaim. I'd wait for the reclaim on this one. Otherwise, you could just bleed this into these lows and into range low again. But if it reclaims this, then I think we should be good to go for range high. Oof, damn. Yeah, as you can see, the weekly is not looking pretty at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. High time frame around here. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Dumping a little. Yeah. We'll see. All right. Gonna do Sol and Raven next. Ooh. Yeah, on Sol, I don't like this structure. I mean, I don't really trade these patterns, but can already see it pumped into resistance and then started stalling, swept some highs, right? Swept them again and then swept lows down there. So I would be waiting for something like this and then a rip higher. You see? Or line in the sand, in my opinion, would be reclaiming this probably. Let's see on the daily. Yeah. Reclaiming and holding above this. If price manages to do that, this looks good for continuation higher. But until then, I think this is the next target. Probably in here. Okay, Raven. Let's see. Ooh, what an ugly chart, man. I wouldn't touch this. These old coins, they're just dead. But yeah, if I had to give my thoughts, as you can see, last week's low has been swept on this one. But I don't like this. I mean, what has this done, right? It's just been making lower highs and lower lows for ages. Lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. So I could just see this bleed back down all the way into here. Low time frame. Yeah, if it gets back above here, that would be a good sign and probably send us a little higher, but yeah, I wouldn't touch this. Don't like this. Okay. All right. Aptos dumping. Let's see. Oof. Yeah. I mean, kind of normal with Bitcoin. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, no, I could be stopped out already, to be honest. Let's see. Oof, moved a couple cents from my stop. Lol. Look at that. But anyways, yeah, let's focus on Bitcoin now for the coming hours, right? Let's see how FOMC unfolds. I'm excited. As I said, this isn't. This was half risk only, so that's fine if I get stopped. I've had an amazing week already. Last week was nice as well, so I'm gonna end the stream here. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. We'll do these weekly now. Not sure it's gonna be on Wednesday every week, but I'll announce soon enough so you can plan and you can join. Okay. Thanks to Bybit again for sponsoring. If you use the link in the description, message me on Discord and I'll add you to my Discord. You'll also get free access to CMM, to Coin Market Manager. All those paid features you'll get for free. And you can get up to $30,000 in deposit bonuses. So, I mean, I think that's a great deal for you guys, to just change your account and trade it on my link, right? Lots of advantages. But yeah, do whatever you want, obviously. But that would help me a lot and I would really appreciate it. Okay, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.